Family, I need you to hear me tonight because 2025 and 2026 are not years for you to play small, to second guess yourself, or to keep leaking your energy into places that don't deserve your presence. These are years for focus. Somebody say focus. See, God is calling you to build something in silence. You don't have to clap back. You don't have to explain yourself. And you don't have to post every move you're making. The loudest thing about you in this season is not going to be your words. It's going to be your results. And I know it feels uncomfortable to pull back, to not answer every phone call, to not defend your name, to not shout about what you're building. But baby, trust me, your silence is not weakness. Your silence is strategy. Your silence is protection. Because when you focus on YOU, God can focus on the details of what he's birthing through you. And when it's time, the world won't just hear you. Their silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Too often we are conditioned to believe that the one who is loudest, the one who constantly defends themselves, the one who always has something to say is the strongest. Society glorifies the noise, the clapbacks, the public battles, the endless explanations, but real strength is often hidden in restraint. It takes more power to hold your tongue than to lash out. It takes more faith to trust that your silence will be understood in time than to try to make people see you right now. Silence is not a sign that you are weak or afraid. It is a sign that you are wise enough to know that not every battlefield deserves your presence, and not every critic deserves your response. When you choose silence, you are not choosing to shrink. You are choosing to position yourself for clarity. The loudness of distraction, the constant buzzing of opinions, the chatter of doubt from others, and even from your own mind can drown out the sound of what God is speaking in your spirit. Silence becomes a filter. It helps you separate what matters from what is simply noise. And when you silence the world around you, you start hearing the whispers within you that remind you of your purpose. That is not weakness. That is intentionality. That is alignment with the higher calling on your life. The enemy of your destiny often comes in the form of distraction. Distraction pulls you into battles that don't matter, into conversations that drain your energy, into arguments that rob you of peace. Distraction is loud. It demands a response. It wants you to explain yourself. It wants you to prove yourself. But silence is how you refuse to let distraction dictate your pace. Silence says, I am not available for petty wars. I am not available for emotional manipulation. I am not available for anything that takes me away from the assignment God has placed on my life. Silence is not cowardice, it is self-preservation. There is a discipline in silence that most people will never master because silence feels uncomfortable. It feels like people will think you don't know what you're doing. It feels like they will assume they have won. It feels like your power has been taken from you. But the truth is that silence is the very thing that allows you to build strength without interference. Every great vision requires seasons of quiet work. Every breakthrough requires hidden preparation. You cannot birth something new while constantly explaining it to people who cannot see it. Silence allows you to protect what is growing until it is ready to be revealed. Think about seeds. Seeds are planted in the dark, covered in soil, hidden from view. Nobody can see what is happening under the surface. But silence in that soil does not mean weakness. It means transformation. It means strength is being developed in the roots before the sprout ever touches the air. If the seed could speak too soon, it might reveal a process that is still incomplete. That's why silence is strategy. Because strategy is about timing. It's about understanding that not everything should be spoken. Not every move should be broadcast. Not every thought should be shared. Strategy is about choosing the right moment, and silence gives you control over that moment. When people misunderstand your silence, let them. When they think you are backing down, let them. When they say you have no response because you have no strength, let them. Because silence is not for them, it's for you. It's for your growth, your peace, your focus, your elevation. The ones who mistake your silence for weakness are the same ones who will one day be silenced by your results. Results don't need defending. They speak a language louder than words, louder than arguments, louder than clapbacks. Silence also protects your spirit. Words have power, and every time you engage in battles that don't belong to you, you are releasing energy that should be reserved for your destiny. You cannot afford to waste that power. Your silence is a shield. It protects you from saying things in anger that you cannot take back. It protects you from building bitterness where there should be healing. It protects you from carrying the weight of conversations that were never meant to be yours to carry. Silence is not weakness. It is stewardship. It is the careful management of your words, your time, and your emotional resources. There is also authority in silence. Think about the moments when you are in a room and someone who doesn't speak much suddenly decides to speak. Everyone leans in. Everyone pays attention because silence creates gravity. Silence makes your voice valuable. If you speak all the time, people begin to dismiss your words as background noise. But if you are strategic with your silence, then when you finally release a word, it carries weight. Silence gives your voice power. It trains others not to expect your energy on everything. So when you do choose to speak, they know it matters. Your silence is also your test of self-control. Anyone can lash out. Anyone can argue. Anyone can defend themselves. But it takes true mastery to hold your peace when provoked. Silence says, I am not ruled by my emotions. I am ruled by my vision. Silence says, I will not be moved by your attempt to pull me out of character. Silence says, I know who I am, and I don't need your validation to confirm it. That kind of strength is far greater than the temporary satisfaction of proving a point. Sometimes silence is the loudest sermon you can preach. When you refuse to argue with gossip, you are teaching integrity. When you refuse to clap back at jealousy, you are teaching humility. When you refuse to be distracted by negativity, you are teaching discipline. Your silence becomes a living testimony that not every storm requires a reaction. Not every attack requires a defense. Not every insult requires a rebuttal. Silence testifies that you are secure enough in who you are becoming that you don't need to be seen fighting to prove it. In 2025 and 2026, your silence is going to be your sharpest weapon. It is going to be the thing that keeps you grounded when the world is noisy. It is going to be the thing that keeps your focus on your goals when distractions come knocking. It is going to be the thing that allows you to move in purpose without explaining every step. It is going to be the thing that separates you from the chaos of the crowd. Because silence is not the absence of power. It is the concentration of power. It gathers your strength inward so that when the time comes, you can release it in ways that matter most to you. Focus on building, not broadcasting. There is a deep temptation in this culture to show everything before it is ready. Social media trains us to believe that if it is not posted, it is not happening. And if no one sees it, it has no value. But the truth is, the most powerful transformations happen in secret. The most enduring breakthroughs are constructed behind the scenes, far away from applause, likes, and validation. When you focus on building instead of broadcasting, you are choosing to value process over perception. You are choosing to honor the quiet grind over the loud performance. And in that choice, you protect the authenticity of what you are creating. Broadcasting too soon can damage what has not yet been developed. Sharing your dreams with people who cannot see them opens the door to doubt, criticism, and unnecessary resistance. When you build in silence, you give yourself the gift of privacy to experiment, to fail, to adjust, and to grow without the pressure of an audience. Broadcasting demands perfection because it assumes someone is always watching. But building gives permission for imperfection, for trial and error, for messy beginnings that are necessary before greatness can emerge. That's why the ones who are truly focused understand that their vision is not content for consumption, it is construction for fulfillment. Building requires discipline. It demands that you show up daily, even when no one is clapping. It demands that you push through fatigue, even when no one is watching. Broadcasting looks glamorous. It shines on the surface, but it is often empty underneath. Building is unglamorous. It looks quiet, ordinary, and slow, but it carries substance. Broadcasting feeds the ego, but building feeds the purpose. And when the purpose is fed, the results eventually speak louder than any broadcast ever could. There is danger in living for broadcasting because it locks you into the cycle of performance. Every time you show something prematurely, you become addicted to the reaction. You begin to chase applause rather than progress. You measure your worth by engagement rather than development. And when the applause fades, so does your momentum. But building breaks you out of that cycle. Building allows you to root your identity in the work itself, in the transformation it brings, and in the long-term impact it will create. Building may not bring instant recognition, but it guarantees lasting fruit. Think about construction sites. When a building is in progress, it is often fenced off, hidden from the public. Workers are there day after day, putting in hours of effort, laying bricks, wiring electricity, installing systems that no one will ever see once it's complete. They do not broadcast every nail hammered, every pipe fixed, every line drawn. They simply build. Because they know the day will come when the covering comes off and the finished structure will speak for itself. Your life is the same. You are under construction. Broadcasting, every step interrupts the process, but building ensures that when it is revealed, it will stand firm and complete. Focusing on building also protects you from the weight of comparison. Broadcasting pulls you in the trap of measuring your timeline against others. You begin to wonder why their progress seems faster, why their journey looks smoother, why their results are already visible. But when you shift your focus back to building, your only comparison is with your past self. You measure progress in terms of growth, not likes. You measure success in terms of consistency, not recognition. Building reminds you that destiny is not a race, but a process. And your only responsibility is to keep laying the next brick with faith and excellence. There is also a sacredness in what you build in private. The secret work carries intimacy. It is where you meet the raw version of yourself, where you face your doubts and fears without the mask of performance. It is where God shapes you, molds you, strengthens you in ways that broadcasting would never allow, because broadcasting makes you perform strength, but building makes you develop strength. Broadcasting makes you appear wise, but building makes you actually grow wise. Broadcasting makes you look successful, but building makes you become successful. The difference is profound, and it is why those who endure are always the ones who invested more in construction than in display. Sometimes the urge to broadcast comes from insecurity. We want people to see that we are doing something, to prove that we are not stagnant, to validate our worth through visibility. But true builders know that visibility without substance is fragile. It crumbles under pressure because there is nothing behind it. You can only sustain broadcasting for so long before the hollowness becomes exposed. Building eliminates that fragility. It ensures that what you are creating has roots deep enough to withstand storms, criticism, and seasons of obscurity. Focusing on building also shifts your relationship with time. Broadcasting craves immediacy. It wants results now. Building understands patience. It embraces the process. Building requires vision that looks beyond the temporary and fixes its eyes on the eternal. It trains you to value progress in inches, not just leaps. It reminds you that small steps every day create massive outcomes over years. Broadcasting thrives on urgency, but building thrives on consistency. And consistency always outlasts urgency. When you commit to building and not broadcasting, you also free yourself from the burden of explanation. You don't owe people a roadmap. You don't have to justify why you are quiet, why you are moving differently, why you are not as visible. Your energy is too valuable to spend explaining to those who are not part of your construction crew. Builders know that not everyone is meant to understand the blueprint. Some people will never see what you see because it was not revealed to them, and that is okay. Your job is not to convince them. Your job is to keep building until the manifestation speaks on your behalf. There is a joy in delayed revelation. There is something powerful about keeping your head down, doing the work, and then watching the world encounter the fruit of it when it is complete. That joy is sweeter than the shallow satisfaction of broadcasting progress too soon. It is the joy of knowing that you stayed faithful in the shadows, that you honored the process, that you did not let the noise derail your mission. It is the joy of unveiling something whole, something real, something unshakable. And that joy cannot be manufactured through broadcasting. It is earned only through building, keeping the style consistent. Protect your energy like it's currency. Every day you wake up, you are given a limited amount of strength, focus, creativity, and emotional resilience. That energy is your currency. And just like with money, if you do not spend it wisely, you will find yourself bankrupt before the day is over. Too many people live in exhaustion, not because they are working hard on their purpose, but because they are overspending their energy on things that do not return any value. They are draining themselves in conversations that go nowhere, arguments that change nothing, relationships that bring no peace, and distractions that rob them of progress. Protecting your energy means deciding that your power is too precious to be wasted on anything that does not align with your assignment. When you see energy as currency, you begin to budget it. Just like you would not hand over your paycheck to a stranger, you should not hand over your peace to people who have not earned access to it. You begin to prioritize what matters, allocate time to what feeds your soul, and cut off the leaks that leave you drained. You realize that not every phone call deserves to be answered. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Not every opinion deserves your reaction. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it is stewardship. You cannot pour into your goals, your family, your calling, or even yourself if you are constantly empty from giving pieces of yourself away to places that bear no fruit. Energy leaks are dangerous because they are subtle. Sometimes it is not the big dramatic events that drain you, but the small, consistent leaks that you overlook. Scrolling endlessly, engaging in gossip, tolerating negativity, constantly checking for validation. These little leaks chip away at your strength until you have nothing left to give to what truly matters. Protecting your energy requires awareness. You have to step back and ask yourself, where is my energy going? What do I feel after spending time with this person? After saying yes to this request? After consuming this content? If the answer is consistently drained, anxious, heavy, or uninspired, that is a sign that a boundary needs to be built. Boundaries are the fences that protect your energy. They are not walls to keep everyone out, but gates that allow you to choose who and what gets in. Boundaries are not about punishment. They are about protection. They say, I love myself enough to guard my peace. I respect my purpose enough to guard my time. I honor my future enough to guard my focus. And boundaries are not only external, they are internal too. Sometimes you have to protect your energy from your own habits, your own self-sabotage, your own tendency to procrastinate or entertain thoughts that weaken you. Protecting your energy means telling yourself no just as much as it means telling others no. Think of yourself as a phone battery. No matter how powerful the device is, it cannot function without energy. And if too many apps are open, too many notifications are draining the background, the battery runs out quickly. The same is true of your spirit. You cannot keep yourself open to every demand, every distraction, every voice, and still expect to thrive. Protecting your energy means learning how to close the apps, silence the noise, and recharge intentionally. Rest is not laziness, it is maintenance. Sleep, prayer, meditation, solitude, exercise, healthy relationships, these are the chargers that keep your battery full. Ignoring them is like refusing to plug in your phone and wondering why it keeps dying. Your energy is also creative capital. It fuels your ideas, your innovation, your problem solving, your art, your leadership. When you waste it on negativity, you rob yourself of the power to create. How many visions have died because the person with the dream was too tired from fighting battles that were never theirs? How many callings have been delayed because the one chosen to walk in them was too depleted from giving energy to people who only took and never poured back? Protecting your energy is protecting your destiny. It ensures that the very fuel you need to build what you were born to build is preserved and invested wisely. There is also a spiritual weight to energy. Your spirit discerns when something is off. When someone's presence drains you, when a space feels heavy, that is not random. That is your soul alerting you to protect yourself. Too often we ignore that discernment in the name of being nice, accommodating, or people-pleasing. But protecting your energy means listening to those inner alarms. It means trusting that peace is your compass. If something consistently costs you peace, it is too expensive for your soul. Protecting your energy may mean walking away from certain rooms, cutting ties with familiar people, or choosing silence over constant engagement. It is not always easy, but it is always necessary. Protecting your energy also reshapes your priorities. You start realizing that every yes costs something. Saying yes to them is saying no to you. Saying yes to distraction is saying no to discipline. Saying yes to meaningless conflict is saying no to meaningful progress. When you protect your energy, you count the cost before you commit. You ask, does this investment of my energy give me a return in growth? Peace, joy, or alignment with my vision. If not, you learn to say no unapologetically. Because the truth is, every time you spend your energy, you are either making a withdrawal from your future or a deposit into it. The people who protect their energy are often misunderstood. They may be called distant, detached, or selfish. But that is only because the world has normalized self-neglect in the name of being available to everyone else. Protecting your energy requires courage because it means you will not be accessible on demand. It means you will not spread yourself thin just to maintain appearances. It means you will not be guilted into giving when you have nothing left to give. The misunderstanding is temporary, but the strength it builds in you is eternal. In seasons like 2025 and 2026, when distraction will be loud and demands will be endless, protecting your energy is survival. It is how you maintain focus in a noisy world. It is how you guard your creativity in a culture that constantly consumes. It is how you sustain your faith when negativity surrounds you. Protecting your energy is about knowing that you are a vessel, and if the vessel is empty, nothing can pour out of it. You cannot fulfill your purpose if you are constantly depleted. You cannot build what you are called to build if your energy is scattered in 100 directions. Protecting your energy means gathering yourself, centering yourself, and aligning yourself with what matters most. Let results speak louder than explanations. In a world where everyone feels the need to justify, to prove, to clarify, and to constantly explain themselves, there is something powerful about restraint. Explanations can easily become a trap. The more you explain, the more room you give for doubt to grow, for opinions to twist your words, for distractions to multiply. But when you decide that your results will do the talking, you place yourself in a position of power. You shift from words to evidence, from noise to fruit, from defense to demonstration. Results carry a weight that no argument can diminish, and they silence critics in ways explanations never could. Explanations often come from a place of insecurity. The desire to convince others that you are on the right path, that you know what you are doing, that you are qualified, that you are not making a mistake, stems from a fear of being misunderstood. But insecurity cannot be healed through endless explanations. In fact, the more you try to explain yourself, the more power you give to the very voices you are trying to silence. Results, however, require no defense. When the fruit of your labor becomes visible, explanations are unnecessary. The evidence stands taller than any doubt. Choosing to let results speak is an act of discipline. It means you resist the urge to clap back, to argue with rumors, to defend your intentions to people who never believed in you anyway. It means you put your head down, stay focused on the work, and allow time to reveal the truth. Time has a way of exposing both lies and consistency. What cannot be seen today will eventually manifest. That's why results are louder than words, because results are undeniable. You can argue with opinions, but you cannot argue with fruit. When you focus on explanations, you drain your energy in the wrong direction. You spend hours crafting the perfect responses, rehearsing conversations in your head, defending yourself to people who are determined not to understand you. That energy could have been used to build. That energy could have been invested in the dream, the plan, the assignment. Results require energy, but explanations consume it without return. You cannot both build and explain at the same time with equal intensity. One will always rob the other. That's why choosing results over explanations is not just wise, it is efficient. The truth is, not everyone deserves an explanation. Some people are committed to misunderstanding you no matter what you say. Others do not have the vision to see what you see. Explaining yourself to them is like explaining the concept of light to someone who insists on sitting in darkness. It is wasted effort. But when the results come, even those who doubted will have no choice but to acknowledge the evidence. They may not like it, they may not celebrate it, but they cannot deny it. That's the power of results. They strip away the option of denial. Think about builders and visionaries throughout history. Many of them were mocked in the early stages, dismissed as foolish, criticized for pursuing something unconventional. If they had wasted their time explaining their vision to every skeptic, they would never have completed their work. But because they chose to keep building, their results now speak across generations. Nobody debates whether the building was finished when it's standing tall in front of them. Nobody questions whether the invention worked when it changed the world. Their results speak louder than the voices that once tried to drown them out. There is also a peace that comes when you let results speak. Explanations keep you tethered to the opinions of others. You find yourself restless, always wondering if they believe you, if they understand, if they will support you. But when you decide that your results will do the speaking, you free yourself from the need to be understood prematurely. You focus on the process, not the perception. You build in peace, not performance. And that peace gives you the clarity to keep moving forward, even when others are still questioning. Letting results speak also requires trust and timing. Results do not come overnight. They require patience, consistency, and resilience. If you are desperate for instant validation, you will always default back to explanations. But if you trust the process, you will understand that your results are being formed even in silence. Just like a seed underground, invisible but alive, your results are growing beneath the surface. You don't have to dig it up every day to prove it is still there. You water it, you nurture it, you trust the process, and eventually the sprout breaks through the soil. That sprout is the result that no explanation could have replaced. Explanations are often for the present, but results are for the future. Explanations aim to convince people in the moment, to win arguments in the now, but results win the long-term testimony. Explanations may satisfy your ego, but results build your legacy. When your children, your community, your future generations look back, they will not read transcripts of your explanations. They will see the evidence of your results. That's why focusing on results is not only about silencing doubters, it's about building something that speaks long after your words have faded. Another reason results are more powerful than explanations is because explanations rely on words, and words can be twisted. No matter how carefully you phrase it, someone can misinterpret it, manipulate it, or dismiss it. But results are tangible. They can be seen, touched, experienced. They cannot be twisted in the same way. That's why results carry authority. They stand as proof, as testimony, as undeniable evidence. Even your silence becomes powerful when your results are visible. Choosing results over explanations also strengthens your character. It forces you to build endurance, to develop patience, to cultivate resilience, because results don't come easy. They demand persistence when no one is cheering. They demand focus when distractions are loud. They demand faith when progress is invisible. Explanations are easy. You can craft them in a moment, but results require the long road, and in walking that road, you become stronger. By the time the results arrive, not only do you have evidence, but you also have the character to sustain it. In 2025 and 2026, when everyone is shouting for attention, posting for validation, and arguing for recognition, there will be something distinct about the one who chooses to remain focused and let results speak. While others are caught up in defending themselves, you will be producing fruit. While others are consumed with proving their worth, you will be living proof of yours. And when the season shifts and the results are revealed, there will be no debate about who invested their energy in building and who wasted it in X-Plan. ChatGPT said discipline in private creates success in public. There is a sacred power in the things you practice when no one is watching. The quiet choices, the unseen sacrifices, the consistency that never gets posted or applauded. These are the roots of greatness. What people see in public is only a reflection of what has been rehearsed and cultivated in private. Public success is the harvest, but discipline in private is the planting, the watering, and the nurturing. Without the private discipline, the public fruit will never appear. Too many people chase visibility without cultivating the habits that can sustain it. But those who understand the connection between the unseen and the seen embrace discipline as the bridge. Discipline in private is not glamorous. It looks ordinary, repetitive, even boring. Waking up early, practicing your craft, studying when you would rather sleep, saying no to distractions, training your mind and your body to endure. These moments rarely receive applause. No one claps when you resist temptation. No one celebrates when you choose focus over distraction. No one gives you a trophy for staying consistent. But those private acts of discipline accumulate. They build character, skill, and strength that cannot be manufactured in the spotlight. They create a foundation strong enough to carry the weight of success when it arrives. When you look at anyone who has achieved lasting success, you will always find a trail of private discipline behind their public victories. Athletes spend countless hours training in empty gyms long before they perform in packed stadiums. Musicians practice scales, rehearse notes, and refine their sound in solitude long before they stand on stage. Leaders study, strategize, and prepare in the dark long before they are trusted with influence in the light. What we see as talent or genius is often simply the fruit of relentless private discipline. The world applauds the performance but overlooks the preparation. Yet it is the preparation that makes the performance possible. Discipline in private is also about integrity. It is easy to act disciplined when eyes are on you, when accountability is present, when applause is possible. True discipline shows up when no one will know whether you did it or not. It is what you choose when no one is checking. It is what you commit to when no one will give you credit. That is where character is forged, because success without character collapses. Public victories built on private inconsistency are fragile. They may shine for a moment, but eventually crumble under the pressure of exposure. Private discipline ensures that what you have in public is authentic, sustainable, and rooted. There is also freedom in discipline. People often confuse discipline with restriction, but the opposite is true. Lack of discipline creates bondage. Bondage to impulses, bondage to distractions, bondage to cycles of regret. Discipline creates freedom. It frees you to pursue your purpose without being controlled by urges. It frees you to stay consistent without being tossed around by moods. It frees you to live a life of intentionality rather than reaction. Private discipline sets you free because it aligns your actions with your vision, and that alignment produces results that cannot be shaken. Discipline in private also trains your faith. There are seasons where you practice obedience without seeing immediate results. You pray, you fast, you study, you work, and nothing seems to be shifting yet. But those disciplines are not wasted. They are deposits into a future breakthrough. They are strengthening you in ways you cannot yet see. Just like a seed underground, unseen growth is happening in the dark. The roots are stretching, the foundation is deepening, and one day the sprout will break through the surface. The private discipline of tending to that seed will eventually manifest in public fruit. Another aspect of private discipline is self-control. Success is not only about what you start, it is about what you sustain. And sustaining requires the ability to say no as often as you say yes. No to distractions, no to laziness, no to shortcuts, no to toxic patterns. Every time you exercise discipline in private, you strengthen your ability to resist what could destroy you in public. The temptations that break people in the spotlight are often the same temptations they refuse to discipline themselves against in the shadows. That is why private discipline is a form of protection. It prepares you to handle success without being destroyed by it. Private discipline also builds confidence. When you know you have done the work, when you know you have been consistent in the unseen places, you walk into public opportunities with a different kind of assurance. You are not faking it. You are not hoping it works. You are standing on the foundation of discipline. Confidence is not arrogance. It is evidence. It is the evidence of the hours you invested when no one was clapping. It is the evidence of the sacrifices you made when no one was watching. That confidence cannot be shaken by critics because it is rooted in truth. You know what you did when no one else did, and that truth speaks louder than doubt. Discipline in private also separates you from the crowd. Many people want the reward but not the routine. They want the outcome but not the process. They crave the platform but not the practice. That is why those who are willing to embrace private discipline will always stand out in public. They will rise higher because they have gone deeper. They will endure longer because they have trained harder. They will shine brighter because their fire was kindled in the dark long before the spotlight ever touched them. In seasons like 2025 and 2026, where distractions will be constant and the temptation to broadcast will be strong, private discipline becomes even more critical. You cannot afford to build your life on public perception without private substance. You cannot afford to appear strong but collapse under pressure because you neglected the hidden work. Every choice you make in private is a brick in the foundation of your future. Every act of discipline is a silent investment in the life you are building. The world may not see the hours, the tears, the sacrifices, the consistency, but they will see the results. They will see the fruit of your labor. They will see the evidence of your discipline. And while they may applaud the visible, you will know the truth, that it was the unseen that made it possible.